Sports are a male-dominated industry in the United States and across the world. Within the past few decades, there have been efforts to change that, with the adoption of the WNBA in 1997 and the growing popularity of women's soccer in the United States. However, the NBA is still a lot more popular than the WNBA, and the United States only seems to care about women's soccer during the World Cup and the Olympics. Ultimate Frisbee, one of the fastest growing sports in the world, is aiming to change that. USA Ultimate's website contains a gender equity mission statement outlining their commitment to the promotions of women's ultimate. USA Ultimate signed a television deal with ESPN and announced their commitment to equal coverage of the men's, women's, and mixed divisions on a national level. Kate Nelson is a sophomore at Emerson College and plays on the men's Ultimate Frisbee team. She's been playing both men's and women's sports her entire life.
What kind of sports did you play growing up?
I played baseball, soccer, hockey, tennis, track. I fenced too.
And did you mostly play with girls your age or boys your age, or was it a mix?
Well, up until about first grade, it's all mixed. You know what I mean? And then I always played on the boys teams. The most serious sport that I played was baseball. And I didn't want to play softball because I thought softball was dumb. So I did baseball. And so there's only the boys' league. And I think there were 3 girls in the whole league, and I was one of them.
And how did you perform compared to the boys?
I mean, in the beginning, when you're that young, there's not even that much of a difference. There's no really purpose in the gender split. So for a while it was just as good. And then I started having to notice that I did have to work hard to run as fast and stuff. And so in the beginning I was just as good, and then I kind of fell back. But then in the end, my last year playing Little League baseball, I was on the All-Star team, which a bunch of boys didn't make and stuff like that. So I guess I played better than most of them at the end.
And when did you start playing Ultimate Frisbee?
I was a sophomore in high school.
You were a sophomore in high school, and did you play with girls or did you play with boys?
In high school, I played with girls. I would go to some tournaments and play on mixed teams or whatever. But I did play for girls. But my high school boys team actually asked me to play for them, and I said that I didn't want to.
And compared to the other girls on your team, how did you compare? Where did you rank on your team with the other girls?
The first year I ever played Frisbee, I was on the starting line. And that year, our team won states. And then every year after that in high school, I was on the starting line. My senior year, I was the second best player on the team, if not the best. Yeah.
So what has your experience been like playing Ultimate Frisbee in college on a men's team?
It's way different. It's I feel as far as our team goes, we're kind of special because we have a lot of we don't have the typical bleh kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Our team has a lot of heart to it, which I think personally I wouldn't be able to play on a men's team if it wasn't this team that I'm playing on now, because we all know each other so well and stuff like that. But it's definitely different. You know, the style of play is different, the speed of play is different, and then just the community around it is also just very different.
Have you ever experienced sexism while playing men's sports?
Oh, all the time. I think also that I come across visually immediately come across as a guy, and so I don't experience it in the beginning of games, but then after I definitely do. And in play sometimes things will happen too. Someone will be oh my god, that's a girl, and then they would stop covering me as hard, which then I'll just get open or something, so it's fine.
I mean, that's an advantage for you that they treat you differently. And how do you think Ultimate, in terms of gender equity, is striving to be different than other sports?
So this summer I played at Nationals for the second year in a row, U20 Nationals, and
for the women's
team, for the Massachusetts women's team. And we traveled with the boys, and so we got to be there when the club nationals were happening, which was really cool. And so there were women's nationals, men's nationals, and mixed nationals. And the mixed was one of the only final games that they streamed.
Yeah, they streamed the mixed division game on ESPN too.
Yeah, which was so cool that they had chosen to stream the mixed game instead of just the men's game, because I think that the fact is that like, people want to watch men's sports, and that's just, like, I feel like that's just how it is, which is kind of shitty, but it's just how it is. And I think Ultimate does a good job at, like, trying to change that. And having so much of the game being about, like, spirit of the game and, like, stuff like that, like, I don't know, I feel like Ultimate, like, definitely is trying to make it gender inclusive.
Yeah, Ultimate.
And that's, like, part of why it's going to be in the Olympics, too, is that the Olympic Committee, like, recognized that it was, like, gender supportive, and so, like, they wanted that to be, like, part of their thing.
Ultimate Frisbee is definitely one of those sports that considers sportsmanship and spirit to be more important than other sports. And do you think that kind of contributes to the whole gender equity statement of USA Ultimate?
Like, yes and no. Because I feel like also playing on a boys' team sometimes, like, especially in high school, like, you'll have boys who will be like, oh, like, I don't care, like, girls' teams do that, you know what I mean? Like, a boy will foul another boy, and he'll be like, oh, like, we're not fucking girls, you know what I mean? Like, stuff like that.
I've definitely heard that before, where someone's like, what are we, a bunch of girls or whatever?
Yeah, what is this, like a girls' Frisbee team or something like that? So I think, to be honest, it does play a role, but it's not, like, that, it's not that big. I think just, like, the fact that they're, like, equal opportunities for men and women to play Ultimate contributes. And then the fact that, like, to be honest, for me, like, playing mixed is, like, the most fun. And that's, like, what I've heard from, like, everyone who plays Ultimate is that mixed is the most fun, like, version of it. Because they're two different styles of play that together is just so, like, fun.
Mm-hmm. And what is your thoughts on the fact that Ultimate Frisbee is going to have equal coverage for the men's division, the women's division, and the mixed division?
I think it's awesome. I think if it was any other way, it'd be a really big issue.
Yeah.
Especially because it's such a new sport, you know what I mean? Like, it's such, like, it is this, like, the fastest growing sport right now, that, like, as far as, like, our society goes, if, like, we did choose to only, you know, broadcast the men's games and stuff like that, then that would just, like, perpetuate, like, the masculine, like, sports stereotype and stuff. So I feel like, given today and, like, where we are as a society, is, like, incredibly important to do both, or all three.
5 to 10 years from now, where do you see Ultimate?
I think it'll be pretty big. I think it could be on, definitely, like, regularly on ESPN too. Hopefully on ESPN. I think more and more people are, like, realizing that it's, like, really fun to watch.
I think a lot of people, when they think of Ultimate Frisbee, they think of either disc golf or playing catch with your dog, or that really awful version that you play in gym class. But when they see Ultimate, either in person or on TV, they kind of get this whole different perspective about it.
Yeah, they're like, what is this? I don't understand. Yeah.
And as a young girl watching it, they might see men and women playing together, and they think, that's definitely something I could play, and I could
definitely
travel and become, like, a national player doing that.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. And I think that, like, if there is broadcasted both, you know, men and women and the mix, like, I think from the other side, like, seeing a young girl seeing that, oh, I can play with men, but then also, like, a boy being like, oh, like, I can play with girls, and, like,
it's
girls
okay
can
to play
be
with
good
girls,
at sports, and, like, girls can, you know, get points and stuff like that, which I think is so important because, I mean, literally growing up, it'd be like, oh, like, don't throw to the girl, and then I'd have to prove myself to get there. So I think if it does become big, and if people, like, if little boys do see, like, girls, like, playing just as well as the boys, like, that would be, like, so good for society.
Yeah, absolutely. This could impact society outside of sports just by Ultimate being inclusive to all genders.
If it gets big enough, I think so.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kate.
No problem.